You hear me? Got one house right here, two houses right here, three houses right here, four houses right here, five houses right here, maybe two houses right there. You feel me?
Hello everyone, man. Here we go again. 6ix9ine back in the headlines, and it feels like we just hit rewind to 2018. But this ain't some throwback drama. This time it's way heavier. In 2025, it looks like Tekashi 6ix9ine might actually be staring down some real prison time, and the streets are buzzing about it. The wild part, everybody thought this dude had dodged the system for good, but nah, things just caught up to him. Let's not forget, back in 2019, 6ix9ine was sitting in a courtroom shaking up
No, that's it. LA, we here, man. Talk.
the whole hip-hop world. He got hit with that RICO case alongside the 9 Trey Bloods, but instead of taking it like the rest of them, he flipped fast and started pointing fingers. That cooperation earned him just 2 years in prison and 5 years of supervised release, which was a slap on the wrist compared to what he was facing. People couldn't believe it. A federal case and all he walked out with was a short bid? That's crazy. But here's the kicker. He didn't even serve the full 2 years. The pandemic rolled around and 6ix9ine walked free months early. That should have been the moment he chilled out, laid low, and tried to reinvent himself.
Hey,
a hug. I want to see a hug. You too, Steve. Let's go.
A lot of people were saying, yo, he got a second chance handed to him. But instead of taking that second chance, he came out louder than ever. He wore the snitch label like it was jewelry, bragged about it, and still tried to move like the biggest gangster out there. It was wild to see. Man's career took a nosedive, but his antics just got crazier. For a minute, it felt like he slipped through the cracks, beat the odds, and walked away untouched by real consequences. But now, things are spinning back around and the justice system might finally be ready to throw the book at him, and now it looks like all that wild energy is finally catching up to him. While some of the very dudes he snitched on, like Mel Murda, are starting to walk free from prison, 6ix9ine might actually end up in a worse spot than them. Imagine that. The ones he helped lock up moving back into the world, while Tekashi himself gets dragged back into the system. That's crazy. So here's the scoop, and this ain't coming from just one shady blog.
I'm at Bremen, Palm Beach, Rolls Royce. They ripped me off, got all this done, right? But it's Richard. So whenever you want to get ripped off, come see Richard.
What's tight, Dan? What's tight?
Multiple outlets been running the story. AP News, Hot New Hip Hop, all confirming the same thing. Tekashi 6ix9ine just got slapped with new federal charges tied to violations of his supervised release. And you already know, when it comes to federal business, that ain't no small slap on the wrist. According to AP, 6ix9ine actually stood in Manhattan federal court and admitted straight up that he broke the rules of his release. The man confessed that when feds raided his Miami spot back on March 12th, they found leftover coke and MDMA stashed in his bedroom cabinet. Like, come on, you're on supervised release and you keep that sitting in the crib? That's reckless. And here's where it gets even crazier. Prosecutors cut him a little deal. In exchange for that confession, they agreed to drop 2 other counts connected to the raid. The AP didn't spill all the details, but reports say the dropped charges were tied to fentanyl and gun possession because they didn't have enough evidence to make those stick. So he dodged the heavy ones, but still caught a serious violation that could land him right back behind bars. So here's where things start getting even heavier. The judge already had Tekashi on the clock. His sentencing for that drug admission was locked in for September 25th of this year, meaning he already admitted guilt and was just waiting on the punishment to drop. No state charges came out of the raid, but the US judge didn't sugarcoat a thing. He told 6ix9ine straight up, any more slip-ups and the hammer's coming down hard. Now, under federal guidelines, the normal range for what he admitted to is between 3 to 9 months per count. That don't sound too bad at first, but here's the bombshell. The judge also made it clear that Tekashi could actually be hit with up to 5 years in prison and even slapped with lifetime supervised release if things go sideways. That's a whole different game. We're not talking months anymore. We're talking years, and maybe a leash on his life forever. And the crazy part, this ain't even his first time playing with fire. Last November, 6ix9ine was already caught up violating probation. Dude skipped out on a required drug test, then dipped from Miami to Las Vegas without telling anybody, and on top of that, he straight lied to his probation officer. That move cost him 45 days in federal custody, and the judge called it what it was. Proof that Tekashi had zero respect for the law. That's like strike one and strike two before this latest mess even landed. Now we're sitting here in 2025, and the judge is warning him one more mess up and it's over. And look at what happened. He's already sitting on violations that could stack up into a 5-year sentence. That's no small time bid. That's half a decade gone just like that. And what really twists the knife? While Tekashi is waiting to hear his fate, we're watching names like Mel Murda and Kuda B, the same guys tied up in that RICO case, walk back into the free world. Imagine that. The so-called rat could end up stuck behind bars for longer than some of the men he pointed the finger at. That's a wild turn of events, and it makes his whole snitch to save myself strategy look shaky now. And here's the wildest part. These ain't no little state-level charges we're talking about. Nah, these are federal charges. And if Tekashi gets locked up again, odds are he's headed straight into a federal facility, most likely in New York, the same stomping grounds as the very dudes he testified against. Can you picture that? 6ix9ine walking into a block where some of the same people he helped put away might still be sitting? Man, that's a nightmare waiting to happen. Sure, he might end up in protective custody, but even then, the target on his back don't go away. This whole mess just shows how probation really works like a trap. Law enforcement doesn't even have to bury you under a massive sentence. They let you walk with probation, keep you on a tight leash for years, and the moment you slip, boom, they snatch you back up and tack on more time. It's like having invisible handcuffs on the whole time, and Tekashi is learning that the hard way. And what makes it even worse, he was out here trying to spark a rap comeback. Just the other day, he dropped a snippet of a track where he was throwing shots at Young Thug, trying to stir up some noise. But let's be real, with all these legal problems hanging over his head, his music career is on life support. Nobody's checking for a comeback when the headlines are screaming about federal charges. But Tekashi can't stop tripping himself up. The judge already told him clear as day, any more trouble and the punishment will be severe. And what happened? Trouble. Over and over again. Just back in November, he was caught dirty on a drug test with meth in his system. Not only that, he even had the nerve to stroll into court an hour late when he was getting sentenced. And when the judge pressed him, he shrugged it off saying, "I'm only human, bro." Like, what? That's not what you say to the same judge who's already spared you once before. And that's the kicker. This is the exact same judge who gave him a lenient sentence back in 2019 when he flipped in that RICO case. This judge has seen Tekashi grow from a 20-year-old kid into a nearly 30-year-old man. And all he's showing is that he hasn't grown at all. Instead of learning from that break he caught, Tekashi kept stacking mistake after mistake, violation after violation. Now the judge has his entire future in his hands again, and this time, it doesn't look like mercy is on the table. Testing positive for meth, skipping rules, lying, breaking probation. It's a long list of reckless moves. And in the feds, probation isn't some small town slap on the wrist, it's serious, and the leash is tighter than ever. Tekashi already got warned, and now he's standing right where that warning said he'd end up. Honestly, at this point, it's hard to see any world where 6ix9ine slides out of this clean. He wanted to play with fire, and now the flames are closing in. Back in hot water again. And now it's all eyes on the sentencing. At this point, Tekashi's future is hanging in the balance, and the world's just waiting to see how it plays out. But honestly, it's tough to feel any sympathy for him right now. Life always comes with consequences, and this is just the government reacting to every wild move he's made over the years. Let's keep it real. Tekashi already knew better. He's been in tax drama before, he's been in federal crosshairs before, and if there's one thing everybody should know, it's this: the feds don't play. They never have, they never will. Once the federal government locks their eyes on you, it's game over. They don't get tired, they don't let go, and that problem sticks until they decide it's finished. And right now, Tekashi is learning that lesson the hard way. If the judge really throws 5 years at him, the irony is cold. While he's stuck behind bars, some of the very men he testified against back in 2019 are walking free, getting their lives back. That's wild to think about. The rat ending up worse off than the ones he pointed the finger at. It's almost poetic because this whole thing could have gone a completely different way if Tekashi had just stayed low, stayed quiet, and moved smart once he got that second chance. But instead, he doubled down, ran his mouth, and now here we are. And the disrespect doesn't stop. Just the other week, he was trying to diss Young Thug, calling him out for being a rat. Like Tekashi ain't the most infamous one out here. That's the kind of reckless behavior that shows he never learned a single lesson. Every time he had a chance to pivot, he went right back to the same old Tekashi antics. And when you keep repeating the same moves, you're gonna end up facing the same kind of punishment, only heavier each time. So now, once again, He's sitting in the hot seat, waiting to deal with the fallout of his own choices. 5 years in the feds ain't no small thing, and Tekashi might finally have to sit down long enough to really think about how badly he played his cards, because this time there might not be an easy escape or early release waiting for him. Thanks for watching until the end. Don't forget to subscribe and see you in the next video.